Obi a kind of had a lengthy write-up he did with regard to what happened at the launch or whatever, and praised IBB, called him all manner of good names or whatever. I don't know. Can we liken Obi to be Nnamdi Azikiwe, who then was actually like Nnamdi, just always tried to be a nationalist, tried to be a peacemaker, tried at all costs to impress other parts of the country, other regions, to actually um, he wasn't hypocritical about it. He wasn't a hypocrite. He was just actually projecting an image that he personifies, which is an image of nationalist. A sort of now we have at the end of the day, what happened? What did his conduct attract any sympathy or any love from other parts of the country? No. Of course, even after all he did, we still had this Igbo massacre in the north. A sort of so now we have another person in the likeness of, in my own opinion, in the likeness of Nnamdi Azikiwe. Do you share the same opinion with me? Because I don't understand what Obi is doing. Now, these are the people first on two fronts. These are the people who have all these years, for decades, have connived, they colluded with each other to actually antagonize the Igbos. And they are still antagonizing the Igbos, still making sure that the Igbos do not occupy any sensitive position in Nigeria. A sort of. And secondly, these are the same people Obi is still hobnobbing. Because I remember he has visited Niger even when he was contesting as president. Then we criticized him. What in the hell are you going? Why? What the hell were you doing there? Why did you go to IBB to pay homage? Or IBB that corrupted the entire system, destroyed Nigeria. The problem we are facing today, it's not actually the foundation is not IBB's, but IBB contributed immensely to what we are passing through today. What do you think? Do you share my opinion of Peter Obi to be likened to Nnamdi Azikiwe, who is trying to make peace, but at the end of the day, you are not getting it because the more he did, Obi, the problem is he did all these things prior to 2023 election, and he's still doing it, trying to garner support from the North, trying to make the North love him. I don't know how it is, but I think he's just like Nnamdi Azikiwe, is spontaneous. It is his nature. That is not. I don't think he's hypocritical about that because I remember his ADC then as governor was a typical Hausa man, a sort of a northerner, not just a northerner, a typical Hausa man. I've forgotten his name. So if he was a if he was a tribalist, he couldn't. I didn't expect him to do that, to actually appoint someone and that is outside the. Okay, even though I may have a reason why he did that, but that's not the point now. Barrister, do you agree with me that Obi can be likened to be Nnamdi Azikiwe?
Well, not in the sense that the great Zik was. I think Peter Obi is within the context of the current political dispensation. He wants to operate within the current political dispensation. And when you want to operate within the current political dispensation, you have to understand it, how it works and how it operates. Again, I come back to perception can be more potent than reality. In the build-up to the 2023 elections, his opponents who brought Tinubu, that is both the Northern Muslim establishment and the Yorubas, they cast him as an ethnic champion. Now, again, whether rightly or wrongly, this is politics. To a lot of people, remember, a lot of people are illiterate, particularly in the North. A lot of them rely on hearing from some of their leaders. Then whatever those people say is like gospel to them. So they were able to cast Peter Obi as an ethnic Igbo candidate. If you want to operate within this system, you have to shape up that kind of aspersion, because the election is still coming. That is one has passed, others are still coming. He is trying to prove some people wrong. Secondly, it is also his nature. He is not an ethnic person. He is not a tribal jingles or anything of that nature. Obi has always been a very simple-minded, straightforward person. And you know, me and you on this show, before the election and after the election, we said and we repeat and I insist and maintain that of all the people that contested, within the current operational system we have, he was the best. Even though I still went ahead to say that even him operating under what we have now will be very, very difficult for him to succeed. But among them, that is Bola Tinubu, Atiku Abubakar, and whoever was there, he was miles ahead of them. He was far, far ahead of them by comparison of an objective comparison. But that is what is lacking in Nigeria. Objectivity.
Okay. Now, my point and my criticism of him is because I felt disappointed when I read that whatever. First, he attended and he kind of eulogized everybody there, especially Babangida. I don't know. I have noticed this kind of desperation. Honestly, I don't get it when someone who is supposed to be an outsider. Remember, the image he projected then, and that was the reason why he garnered massive organic support, because we saw him as an outsider. In fact, I likened him to be Donald Trump. The only thing is that I remember then I spoke that even though I saw him, I likened him to be Donald Trump. He does not have that spirit of Donald Trump, that spirit of that fighting spirit, that radical spirit that fights back, that really fights back. Unfortunately, he's that kind of a person. Instead of fighting the establishment, he wants to hobnob with the establishment. He wants to appease the establishment to gain power. And in my own judgment, honestly, I consider him weak. I consider this is weak because if we view you as if we view, I'll use past tense. If we viewed you, because I have a different opinion of Peter Obi right now. I still believe he's the best among the people that we know right now who contested and who is trying to contest again. He is the best among them. There's no doubt, because he has a record to actually prove that. However, I think that Peter Obi is weak, because if you think that it's okay, weak and probably desperate, he could be one of them, it could be two of them, but at least one. It could be either weak. I think let me be fair to him, either weak or desperate. He may not be weak, but desperate. Because of desperation, he wants to use a platform. He wants to use the establishment as a platform to launch, to actually gain power. And the truth is, I see this move or this action as a kind of a betrayer of our trust, because we saw him as an outsider. You cannot be an outsider yet, because this is one of those things. This is one of the grudges this man had against him during the 2023 election. Showore, I remember when he visited IBB with me, I was critical of it. What the hell were you doing there? What did you go there to do? Why did you have to pay homage to it's IBB? God, for God's sake, IBB is one of the establishment who destroyed Nigeria. So my point, Barrister, I don't know if you have the same opinion with me. My point is this. This man, Peter Obi, is offensively is offensively being desperate, too desperate for my liking. It's sort of because you don't dine with the devil to achieve success. As far as I'm concerned, no matter what will be yours will be yours. If power is if God wants to give power, is God's. It's in God's hands. If God wants to give you power, He will give you power. Just like what he has done and is doing in the life of Donald Trump right now. Sort of. So I actually wanted him to act like Donald Trump, who acted on the side of the people as outside the establishment from the beginning to the end, in fought establishment to a stupor, and still fighting them up to now. But Peter Obi's case is just the reverse. He has similarities with Donald Trump. There's no doubt about that. But like I said, that fighting spirit is not there. It's just too weak for that. And I'm beginning, like I said, my opinion have changed a little bit about him. That if he had you admitted that even if he had become president, we are not going to be, we are not going to, he's not going to perform magic because obviously we have the entire corrupt system around him. But I see, even what I see, I view that right now even worse because with this kind of mindset of trying to please people, trying to appease the establishment. If he had become the president, I bet you he wouldn't have done anything serious because we would have had the same issue where he would be trying to avoid displeasing or offending some people. Barrister, what do you think?
Exactly what I said. If you decide to intrigue and operate within the system,
That's the
you have
point.
you have no choice but to follow the rules of the system.
Yeah.
And I criticize them, him and Showore. They should have stood outside the system to fight the fight for the average Nigerian. If they understood that within this system, Nigeria cannot go forward, the system that we operate, Nigeria cannot go forward, I expect them to leave this system and mobilize Nigerians from outside of the current system. That would be a much better alternative. But once Showore came to contest under this dispensation, once Peter Obi came to contest under this dispensation, I knew that even if they, by chance, number one, they would not stand any chance because the system is configured in a way that we defeat them one way or another, whether lawfully or unlawfully. The system will defeat them. Secondly, if by adventure they get to that thing, the system will still undermine them. So I would have wanted them to understand what we are living in and operate from outside the system, continue to mobilize Nigerians against this system, at the same time driving a system that will work for Nigeria. But once you submit, they say if you want to dine with the devil, go with a big spoon. That's the only way you can survive. Once they submitted themselves to this dispensation, they were bound to follow the rules. You cannot agree to a game and then refuse to follow the rules of the game. And in the rules of this game, you remember for a long time, the Hilltop mansion in Mina has been a sort of maker. Since IBB left government, that Hilltop mansion has been a sort of maker to politicians and even businessmen. Everybody goes there. If you are looking for big business, if you are looking for politics, everybody was going there. So coming into the system, he also followed. Chowore did not go, but he followed. He went. Whether he achieved any tangible
That was
benefit
disappointing
is
to me,
something else.
honestly.
He,
And
he, he could not achieve tangible benefit, but still he went to
he's still doing that. He's still trying
fulfill.
to
It's like
curry favor.
trying to fulfill all righteousness, so to speak, trying to be accepted. But the system does not accept people. The system
That
has its own
this is
target.
honestly, and that's why since after the election, first of all, the inaction from him after the election offended me. I felt offended, and I believe it offended so many people. And following that, his conduct since then has actually projected him to be there. One thing about life, I hate people who are desperate. If you want to achieve certain stuff or certain success, don't do it desperately. Do it in an organic way and just let God play. Just play your role, do the needful, and let God do what you have to do and let God do the rest. So, but not to just actually project that vividly, project an act of desperation. And that is what he's been doing. That's why, honestly, I do no longer see that. I don't see him as the same Peter Obi prior to the 2023 election. I'm seeing a different part of side of him, and I'm beginning to have that thought that even if he had become the president, we will be too weak to actually withstand the establishment. He will be too weak to resist the establishment. The establishment would have swallowed him up, and that is just it. Because if you are playing this way, um, obviously you are showing, giving an impression that you just can't fight. You can't fight these guys because you are just dining and whining with them. Honestly, and that picked me. Even this one again, he did for IBB. I felt extremely offended. I felt irritated when I read about whatever. I wasn't surprised because that has been his trajectory. That has been the trend of things since after the election, sort of. So, honestly, I don't know why he's doing that. He did what he did, especially when it has to IBB. Nigerians, overwhelming majority of Nigerians views IBB negatively. We have a negative view because some of us we are still living under that stigma, under that trauma of IBB's reign. A sort of so many things went by. We're talking about he praised IBB, his economy or financial whatever. That IBB's reign was when during IBB. Remember, I don't know if you have, of course, you can't remember. You are a historian. You like history. You love history so much. So and you know history. During IBB, that was when crime increased. This 419, it was IBB's time we know this issue of 419 was introduced in Nigeria. It was at his time and it flourished then. Abacha came and actually dealt with it. Was during Abacha's time that 419 died because he actually killed them. He was instead of arresting them, they were killing 419ers. I remember then. So he actually worked seriously to deal with crime, Abacha himself. But IBB actually introduced crime, not as a person, but his regime, his policies actually gave room for crime, especially large crimes, not petty crime. So, barrister.
Definitely. Like I said, in the African tradition, once Obi made the choice to attend that book launch, I knew that you cannot go to a person's feast and then go and insult him at the feast. You either stay away, but once you go there in the African tradition, you will not go and insult or criticize him. Buhari did not go. I heard him saying that.
Yeah, surprisingly, I was surprised
Then he
Buhari was not there.
sent a representative. He did not go.
Yes, I
But
know.
I think last week or so, I heard him, they were interviewing him. I said that for him, there are some people that if he see, he must abuse them. So in order not to do that, in order not to do that, he would rather not go to such occasion.
Yeah, I remember
Because
why he
it
didn't
is
go there because
it
IBB
is not
introverted
it's
him.
not just between him and that person. It involves the children. The children have not offended him.
Yes.
So if he should do anything, he's also affecting his children. So he chose not to go. So if you go there, you will not go there and start criticizing IBB, start insulting him in that occasion. The best thing is not to
Yeah,
go.
let's talk
If you
about
do not
let's come
agree,
back to Obi, please,
mhm.
because that's it. Because my problem is, why will you be that desperate? And besides, this issue of attending IBB's launch, it's not a surprise to me because what Obi does, Obi attends all functions now. He's just a function president. Let me use that word. He's a function president. He just attends all functions anywhere he's invited. Both places that some places I don't even expect him to be there. He just both common and on he just both even celebrity functions that doesn't have anything to do with politics. He just I don't know what he does with his time because he doesn't actually behave as a busy man. Obi is very rich, a billionaire. He's supposed to be a very, very busy man. For him to be, he's supposed to be too busy to be attending every function that he was invited to or he's invited to. But no, that's not what we have. He actually create time to attend, no matter how sometimes some kind of riffraff functions or whatever, sometimes celebrity functions. I don't know. That man has become too desperate for my liking, and it is making him me to actually. And I believe so many people are pulling back from him. Like I said, he's just wasting time for his politics. His politics is dead. Like, as far as I'm concerned, Obi can never be the president anymore. He has lost that chance. He lost it in 2023. He was supposed to act in certain ways, in my opinion, and he didn't act. He would be decided prefer to depend on the courts, sort of. So he has lost. And even right now, I bet you I bet you he will never, I don't think he will ever get half of the organic support he had in 2023. I don't know if you share the same opinion with me, but that is my opinion. He will not, based on what I have seen, but based on even some write-ups and what some people have spoken concerning him, is he has lost, that support has waned. He has lost that, the support has diminished, and he will never get half of that support anymore. Barrister.
Well, he came into the system. He wants to run in the system, so he has no choice to do what he's doing. But just like you rightly say, he's not going to deliver the presidency for him. As we speak, there's a movement in the North, two of them, that want to challenge Tinubu in 2027. And one group is rooting for Erufai as candidate and Peter Obi as his vice presidential candidate. That's what Erufai is going
that
about.
That group will fail woefully. Go ahead with the second group.
I'm just saying it. That is one group. Then the other group that are more conservative are still shopping for somebody that will challenge Tinubu. Atiku is still rooting that he should still be the dominant person in the North to challenge Tinubu in 2027. So you see where Peter Obi has been reduced to. The perception is that the best he can get is a vice president. So that is the perception from the Northern establishment, that the best he can get. And I always question, now in the social media and everywhere, there is abuse of the Igbos. In fact, the abuse is mutual. Let me not be...
Yeah.
The abuse is mutual. The Igbos abuse the Northerners abuse them back. That is all over the media. But a lot of people who don't want to look into history, who don't want to examine things critically, just talk. I was here. I was, what I can say, I was an adult in 1979. Not quite an adult, but I was grown up. I finished secondary school in 1979 when President Shagari came to power. And Alex Kweme from the southeast, an Igbo man was his vice president. The northern establishment then were comfortable with the Igbos. They had no quarrel. The insult that the Igbos are receiving today, it was Awolowo and the Yorubas that were receiving it back then. They had no much issue with the southeast.
Yeah.
What you see now, by way of insult, by way of threats and other things, that is what was happening to Awolowo and the Yorubas. Now, when the thing came up, turned from Buhari to the last election, the whole insult now reversed. Why the South, as a geographical group, allow the northern establishment to be playing them like a ball, like a football, I can never understand.
Honestly,
they are supposed to have intellectuals. They are supposed to have how they allow the northern establishment, whom they call less literate, to be playing them like football.
Honestly,
whatever they like, they take them. Honestly, and turn against the other group. It's mind-boggling to me.
Honestly, it's a puzzle. It's a puzzle that is that just baffles me. Honestly, because I don't understand why illiterates will be controlling people who are learned. That is the problem I have. I've always talked about this issue of common sense. Common sense is so scarce these days that common sense that you are academics has nothing to do with common sense. There are situations where you see a total illiterate even more sensible that applies the issue of more common sense than someone who is a professor, and that's exactly what is happening these days.
It's a matter of wisdom and common sense.
That is it. So it has nothing to. I think that's exactly what is playing out in the Nigerian situation right now.
And unity of purpose. That wisdom, common sense, and unity of purpose.
Yeah, that is it.
These people have it. And those people don't want to have it. They,
Honestly,
they
it's
put
just
forward their certificates, they put forward their education, they put forward their billions,
honestly,
their billionaire status. But
honestly.
the wisdom and unity to
But
drive their
Barrister,
agenda.
even though I don't want to drag this in, my what I was saying, I will probably drag this whole thing. Um, I have told you before that even though you vehemently disagreed with me, that honestly, I don't mind the North. Honestly, that's my opinion. Because I don't believe that in the Nigerian system, God has blessed all the regions with certain gifts. And I don't believe I'm that kind of I'm a believer of God in being involved in, and he's not literally involved, but I believe God does it from the foundation. The foundation has been laid, so he just what God does is okay. He laid the foundation, then we human beings should decide on how we make the building a sort of. I've always been. We talked about this, and you disagreed with me completely, and I understand why you disagree. But that is, and I still, I've held this opinion for a very long time because I don't believe that Nigeria, God has given every region in Nigeria their own blessings, and not why they are education. They are the last. They are the least in education. And apart from least, they are the least in resources, natural resources. Okay, they have the land or whatever. Okay, that is this is can be. It's arguably it's arguable for that they are the least in natural resources, but my point is they are lacking in so many key areas in life as human beings and a region. As such, I don't believe that you can't take all away from them. God, that's exactly, and my own way, my own opinion is leadership is where what God has really blessed them with, and probably that's why that is the puzzle that we are trying to actually solve. That gives the answer. Don't you think that gives an answer to this puzzle of this puzzle that makes the other part of Nigeria to look stupid, to illiterate people who are supposed to be more illiterates, controlling people who are more exposed, more civilized, more educated, even richer than him. Because the Easterners, when we talk about wealth again, the East is the wealthiest. They are the wealthiest among the entire region, sort of. So, Barrister, that's the way I see it. That the North actually, I know you disagreed with me and you will skip it, but that is just it. Honestly, I've never had issue with this issue of the North being the president. The issue I've always had is this issue of corruption. Like if they had been ruling us well, at least if they give us if they rule well, honestly, I don't care where someone comes from. I'm destabilized. That's my nature. And that's why people are called, well, I'm an Igbo man married to a Yoruba woman. And that because that's my nature. I don't care what happens. I don't care where you came from. All I want is success, a sort of. And that is the problem. My gross with the Northerners is that they have been the overwhelming head of the leadership in Nigeria from the foundation. And here we are today. They are the most corrupt. So the entire system have been corrupted under their leadership. And so that is my growth. My growth is in misleadership. That is my growth, not against the Northerners. Because me, I believe that the Northerners, God has blessed them with leadership, with not
That is
leadership qualities, not leadership qualities. Like I said, God lays foundation, and the human beings gives the human being the leverage, the will, the privilege to make the building a sort of. So God has blessed them with leadership. We argued this before, but there are two things: leadership and leadership quality. The leadership quality is God has blessed them with leadership, but the leadership quality is now their own. It's at God has given them that privilege to actually make the bed themselves. Unfortunately, they have been very, very poor in leadership quality. Even though they were blessed with leadership, but that is no more God's fault. That is their fault.
I have always disagreed whenever you raise this thing that God has blessed them with leadership. Because in the first place, like you pointed out, they have had the overwhelming opportunity to rule Nigeria, and they have not delivered any tangible benefits in that leadership. Secondly, I would rather categorize their abilities as scheming rather than leadership abilities.
That is the scheming.
No,
No,
scheming is not
scheming
a
is a
leadership
gift too.
ability.
It's just like what happened
Scheming,
between Jacob and Esau.
scheming,
Is that not a gift?
scheming is not leadership ability. Their scheming is helped by the fact of their unity, the common perception that they stand against other people. So that helps them along the way. But when you come to say leadership, that is a whole different game. It is empirical. You will point to any leader from the north that has done wonderfully for Nigeria. I'm not saying other leaders from other regions, and we have not had many of them. For me, the best leader of Nigeria so far has been General Obasanjo. As far as, if you ask me, I will tell you.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He came with common
You and I are on the
sense
same
and
page
he
on
was
that.
tried to be practical.
Yes.
So to that extent, I will not agree with that perception that God has blessed them with leadership, because I don't see the leadership, so to
No,
speak.
you are taking me out of context. Again, I try to differentiate this. So I look, as I like I said earlier, look, God, God, God will give you something, and it will behooves you to manage that stuff, either well or not well. So that is my point. If that you have been gifted, there are so many of us who have won certain gifts, but we are not, those gifts are not utilized. That is my point here. That they've been blessed, that they have been blessed with leadership will automatically make them good leaders. No, I don't agree. I don't agree with that. I don't go with that perception, but that opinion. One thing is to give you something. It's just like giving you money now. Giving you money, but it's okay. Take this money. Take this 1 million, 10 million. Start a business. So I have given you, I've laid the foundation for you. So it will not depend on you on how, whether the business will succeed or not. That's what I mean. Because even the Bible, there is a portion in the Bible that says power comes from the north. I don't see any problem from the, honestly, I don't see anything. The problem is that again, I've stuck with this opinion for a very, very long time. I've had that conviction that these people, they have so many deprivations, so you can't be deprived of everything in life. Obviously, they must have something that God has blessed them with. Unfortunately, they have abused it, they have mismanaged it. God has blessed them with wealth. I think that is the right analogy for this. God has blessed them with wealth, blessed them with everything that He has, the gifts of leadership, but they have misused it out of personal or selfish aggrandizement or selfish interest. So that is just it. These are you are taking me out of context. Now, even if we are having someone with good leadership, just like someone like Peter Obi, who did perfectly well as a governor in Anambra State, coming to say, okay, he did well as a leader, but he can as well replicate what he did in Anambra State, the same thing or whatever. So that makes him that in your own argument will actually give a weapon to your argument. Will actually make your argument more viable, more sensible. That okay, he did this, he can replicate it. That doesn't that as such leadership. Nobody is given. No region was gifted leadership. No, that's not it. Because I don't believe that. While if a region was giving giving a gift doesn't mean that such gift will be lacking in other regions. The skirmishes of such gifts or whatever will be lacking in other personalities in other regions. So that is just my point.